Hey everyone, Decav13 here, and welcome back to some more Let's Play Fate Hollow Ataraxia. Alright, so wound up going into a dead end last time, because my dumbass went to the church at night. So, hey, let's start the loop back up again. Oh, okay, this is new. I want to help you, the woman said. She was sincere. The frankness of her confession, unclouded by any trace of impure emotion, brought tears pouring from her eyes as she spoke the words. I wish to free you from your suffering. Which made me feel nothing but pessimism. I felt neither joy nor gratitude that she had come to save me. That kindness of hers was misdirected, and nothing but an annoyance to me. It wasn't enough to make me despise her, but honestly I wanted her to run along home to her own world instead. It isn't to say that I hated the woman, but the very principles that guided her actions were wrong. She should have known as well as I did that she wasn't going to save anyone. She should have known from the start that it was impossible for her to save me. I responded in a voice you couldn't exactly call a voice. With your throat crushed, it's impossible to make a sound, so I tried shaking my head until I remembered I couldn't do that either. Eventually she gave up and went back above ground. She kept up that contest of endurance for days, until gradually, she came to realize she was talking to herself. The one her words were addressed to was just a corpse. That's something that happened, apparently. These events I hadn't committed to memory in the first place are now surfacing in my mind because of the similar emotions now being directed towards me. Doubt and mercy. That woman who tries to be so fastidious is holding some sort of ridiculous feeling of obligation towards me, even though she doesn't have a shred of proof as to why she should. Bazett Fraga McRemens. That woman who has become Avenger's master now harbors the same misdirected emotions for me as the woman from back then. My heart thundering at a speed of 500% over its usual rate, I barely propel my exhausted body towards the ruins. My throat is burning. The way my right leg's aching after I pushed it to the limits of my endurance and beyond, it'd come as no surprise to hear that I'd busted it. Having used up all but the dregs of the magical energy I received from Bazett, my own reserves of strength are starting to come up dry too. Basically, you could say I'm giving up. I can't move another step and I'm tempted to quit just now. Consequences be damned.
何をしている? ここまで走りなさい, Avenger!
Bazett, who reached the ruins one step ahead of me, comes back outside and shouts at me. Grasping for purchase with both hands, I fling myself into the building with all the dignity of a fleeing puppy. The door slams closed behind me. Of course, some little door isn't worth a fart as far as defense goes, considering the monster that's after us. Having that barrier at least gives us the illusion of security, though. Yeah. I can hear a roar. That must be the big fucker we've got in our tail, destroying everything in his path as he pursues us through this forest. Running away to a ruin like this won't save us. Once he catches up, he'll crush the whole place to powder, and both of us along with it. That thing is like a fierce gale. No matter what kind of weapon one is armed with, it's plain to see that no human could cross swords with that and live. In a clearing in the forest, we ran into that monster. No, it would be better to say that it was waiting there for us. Though set there like a monolith carved out of stone, the second we set foot into its territory, it let out that roar as it came after us. The battle was over in 1 second. I never had any great desire to pick a fight with that thing in the first place, but after the first shot, even Bazett realized that we couldn't fight it, let alone win. Bazett's not one to back down from a fight, but even after Fragarok failed to score a kill, she wisely and graciously gave the order to retreat. Yeah, because that's one death, and you need, 11 more? And you can only use Fragarok 3 times. Still, you gotta hand it to her. To be able to fight for even a few seconds facing the source of that hellish roar took some serious guts. She recovered in no time and fired off Fragarok while that huge monster's war cry had me nearly pissing myself. The noble phantasm it seems to be the type that's always on, because Fragarok activated right away. Her aim was true and her shot stuck right in its heart, bringing that fat ass down once and for all. Or at least that's what should have happened. Instead, it had completely revived 10 seconds later and kept charging straight for us. Back from the brink of death in perfect health. In other words, a body that knows no death. That's the big fucker's noble phantasm. After she wasted her Fragorock on it, Bazette's whole body went rigid. And with her frozen there as that monstrous thing came bearing down on her, I personally think it was awfully nice of me to give her a little push out of harm's way via a flying kick to the side. The pain. It felt like he barely grazed me, but that was enough to send me flying, too. The big guy's sights are now set on me, standing right in his path, and I look up to see an axe the size of a Grecian pillar raised over my head. To even think about eating a hit from that would be crazy, and my chances of slipping by unharmed were stupendously low. So then, when things were at their darkest, just as I was thinking that, that must be what they call instant death, who should come to my rescue but the very same Bazett I just kicked away from that huge thing. She leveled her second Fragorock at its face and fired, striking it right between the eyes. Seems like she fired her second Fragorock not to kill, but to try to blind it. But even a huge hole in its face didn't stop that monster, or the axe it held. So that's when Bazett grabbed me by the hand and made a break for the forest. Throwing off the gloves that Fragorock had burned as she ran, Bazett laid a rune to both her legs to let her run faster. Me being the compulsive thief and hoarder that I am, I pick up her trash. And seizing me by the scruff of the neck, Bazett took off running. Seeing as how she's in top physical shape to start with, the blessing of the runes on top of that allowed her to leave that huge monster behind before you could even blink. But even that only gave us a few seconds head start. Before its eyes had even finished healing, it was hot on our trail, as surely as though it were tracking us by scent.
とまあそんな経緯で今に至るわけだけど、なんだね、ここに逃げ込んだところであと数分持たずに追いつかれ殺されるってのが結論だ。あれだけ危ないからよそうぜって言ったのにさ、人の言うこと聞かないからこんな目に遭うんだぜ。そのあたり反論あるか、マスター？
敵の戦力を若干甘く見ていたのは認めます。確かにあんなサーバントがいるとは予想外でした。
Bazett's response sounds a little weak, maybe like she's regretting it. Compared to her near total silence from the time we entered the forest till now, though, this is a veritable world of difference. That's good. Makes it easier on me too. But first things first.
いや、ありゃサーバントじゃねえよ。この森に住むただの怪物だ。サーバントになり損なった亡霊みたいなものだと思い
な。何を言うのです。あれはサーバントだ。この時代の亡霊などではない。宝具も持っていたし、間違いなくアインツベルンのサーバントでしょう。
まあ位置づけ的にはそうなるのか。そっかそっか。競争相手であろうとなかろうと、サーバントはサーバントだったな。
By all rights, trying to figure out what class of servant that monster is would be a waste of time. What we need to focus on right now, rather than trying to figure out what the hell that thing is to figure out what the hell we should do about it. Ain't a thing we can do about that big fucker, so for now let's figure out what we're gonna do with ourselves.
で、どうするマスター？このままおとなしく殺されてやり直すか？それとも、あのサーバントのマスターを探し出すか？
無論、アインツベルンのマスターを探し出します。あのサーバントの周囲にはそれらしい気配はありませんでしたから。
城に潜んでるってのは同感だな。けど城に行くってことはあのデカブツをどうにかするってことだぜ。逃げるのか戦うのか。あんたはどうするつもりなんだ？
アベンジャー、正直に言うと私は敵に背を向けるのは苦手です。戦いを挑まれたのなら力を持って打ち破るのが私のスタイルだ。
知ってるよ。これでも長く付き合ってきた方だからな。あんたはいつもカツカツで嫌がる俺を平気で負け戦に投入したじゃんか。
それはあなたの能力がループだと誤解していたからです。あなたがもう少しノーマルなサーバントなら私とて無理強いなどしませんでした。
どうだかな。で、今回もやるわけ？どのみちあのデカブツをどうにかしないと城にはたどり着けないんだから。
いいえ、私もそこまで無謀ではありません。 今までの戦いは勝算があったからこそ通したことです。ですが、あの相手には勝算はありません。
Yeah, they
私とあ
have
なたでは
literally zero
相性が
chance
悪
of
すぎる。
defeating him. I let out a whistle. Just as Bazett said, we were a real bad match against that ginormous thing. My noble phantasm's just no good against it. Up against him, I couldn't survive so much as a single blow. The first strike would be fatal, so if one hit equals death, I can't turn the curse back on him. On the other hand, we could have Bazett counterattack with Fragorock, but she can only use it 3 times. It's crystal clear now that the monster's noble phantasm allows it to rise from the dead. We don't know yet how many times it's good for, but it likely outnumbers the uses of Fragorock we've got.
それじゃあ戦うってのはなしだな。じゃああとは
追跡を振り切って城を目指すだけでしょう。こちらも目は低いですが、ゼロというわけではありませんから。
She's right about that much. But there's still something pretty big that Bazett's overlooking. That monster ain't something you can just ignore. To make it to the castle, we've got to take care of our new buddy somehow.
決まりだな。俺はここに残ってあのデカブツを引きつけて、オーケー。それなら半々だ。あんたの足ならコースアウトでもしない限りきっと城にたどり着ける。ここからアインツベルンの城は北西に15キロほどだ。ルーンを刻む悲壮は残ってるか？残ってるな。なら問題なしだ。俺が稼げるのはせいぜい1分程度だが、あんた一人だけならそれを10倍にできる。
アベンジャー、私はそんなことは命令していません。私はあなたと城に向かいます。
無茶言うな。そっちの方が俺にはきつい。正直あんたの足にはついていけねえんだよ。ここまで逃げてくるのが限界でさ。
それはあなたの精神が弱いからです。気合を入れなさい。その気になればまだ走れるはずだ。あなたはいつも諦めが早すぎる。
She really hit me where it hurts. Bazett's quite a gutsy lady.
そりゃあまあ意地を張れば少しは働けるけど、それでもあんたのスピードについていけないのは本当なんだが。
まったく。なら戦力として考えません。いざとなれば霊体化して私についてきなさい。
Well, ain't that a clear-headed option? Doing that won't do a thing to help either one of us, though. So how are we gonna get out of this one? Any other time, we both just go about playing the part that works best for us, simple as that. The reason we can't do that now is because a certain someone over here is misunderstanding things in the most boring-ass way possible.
らしくないぜマスター。霊体化して俺だけ助かってどうなる？マスターが殺されたら俺たちはそれで終わりなんだぜ。ならどう考えても足の遅いお荷物を足止めにしてあんたは任務達成するべきだろう。
私はあなたを荷物などと言った覚えはありませんが。
俺がそう思ってんの。何しろ本当に自分一人じゃ動けないからな。
I stick out my left leg to make my point. It was reduced to kibbles and bits by that giant ape when he charged us. That a fourth-rate heroic spirit like me managed to make it all the way here in my own power after that is pretty damn impressive if I do say so myself. Yep, the gutsy way ain't nothing to sneeze at.
ダメだ。それなら私も残ります。ここであのサーバントを倒す方を取る。私は一人では進まない。ここであなたを置き去りにすることはできない。
Determined, but still doubtful. It's definitely not because of any deep feeling of affection. It was that same hand that once reached out to me, in a gesture so severely mistaken.
それは同情かな？
いえ、同情なんてしていません。ただ、その傷には私にも責任がある。だから、置き去りにするぐらいなら、私はその責任を取ろうと。
それは違う。いいかマスター。あんたは今自分の目的を果たすためではなく、それはまあ俺からしてみれば悪いことじゃない。助けてもらえるんなら助けてもらいたいけどさ、その動機が負い目から来たものならそれは置き去りよりたちが悪いことなんだ。
負い目ですって？
そう、同情とか憐憫とかそういうの。 いいかい、人間のお嬢さん。絶望にいる者を救おうとするのなら、負の感情で動いてはいけないんだ。負は生でなければ打ち消せない。悲しみに陥った者を悲しみで救い上げても癒されないものがあるんだよ。あれだな。救った後のデイケアまで受け持つってんなら話は別だが、人間そこまで暇なやつは稀だからな。やっぱり助けるんならどっちにとっても得になる理由じゃないと損ってことだ。
Wicked laughter. In the distance, I hear the monsters howl. Bazett stares fixedly at me, her face blank.
わかりづらかった？なら例えばの話をしよう。ある場所に世界で一番不幸な目に遭っているやつがいるとする。ある日あんたはそいつのことをニュースで知って落ち込んじまうんだが、それは意味のない干渉なんだ。遠い世界の話には関われない。自分には関わりのないところで誰かに不幸な出来事が起きたとしても、あんたは笑っていろ。
That's right. To try to save someone who doesn't exist in your own world would mean to deny that world of yours. That's the logic this world operates on, something that doesn't even bear mentioning. Unrelated humans and objecting humans affirm every misfortune and sorrow by that alone. That inequality cannot be overthrown, so why not just accept that the happiness that's built on someone else's sacrifice? Even if it's a truly ugly and wretched life, if you're among the blessed, all you can do is smile and accept that's just how it is. Otherwise, it's all for nothing. Live out your whole life opposite that contradiction and ugliness. That's what a proper human should do. A human can't save anyone except himself. Saving another person solely for that other person's sake is no better than an excuse worthy of death. Such lip service can't save anyone. But, if even then you still believe you can save another, if you're still chirping stuff like, I want to save another.
そうだ。それでも何かをしたいというのなら、せめて笑いながら救いに行け。見捨てられないから残るとか、かわいそうだから戻るとか、そういうのは余計なお世話だ。一緒に苦楽を共にしようなんて間違っても抱くなっていうことでさ。
All she needs to share with me is the joy. Coming to save me by bringing me sorrow would be nothing but a pain in my ass. What I want is a no-questions asked fairy tale ending. Peace and love to exceed even the days of nothing but loss. That's right. For example, like dark and sunken eyes. Seeing a bright and shining future in an outstretched hand.
アベンジャー、あなたは？
いや、脱線しちまったな。ズバッと言うと、さっさと行けってこと？どうせ死んでもまた顔を合わせるんだ。道場で死なれたら気まずいじゃねえか。ほら、アインツベルンのマスターに話があるんだろ。さっさと要件を済ませてこいよ。俺は先に戻ってるから。
The storm's coming closer. We better end our little chat post-haste before he shows up.
なんだ、まだ何か言わないとダメか？
いいえ、十分です。私のために敵の足止めをお願いします、アベンジャー。
あいよ。じゃ、ちょっくら気合い入れて出迎えるわ。あんたは裏から出ていけよ。
Waving my hand to Bazett, I venture outside. Once she's made up her mind about something, she won't waste a moment's effort on anything unnecessary. She's already forgotten all about me and is running full throttle straight to the castle by now. The Ironsburn servant will be here any minute. I pull Bazett's glove that I picked up off the ground and onto my right hand. It's pretty much useless as a glove after Frog Rock reduced it to cinders, but what the hell. Might at least make for a good luck charm.
さて、今度こそ真っ二つか。だから来たくないって言ったのにな。くそ。
The weakest under attack by the strongest, this is. There are way too many matchups like this in the Holy Grail War thing, damn it. Oh, God damn it. In the end, I left him behind. I allowed him to remain there in a place where he was certain to be killed and raced into the forest alone. I feel no debt towards him. As he said, this was the natural choice. A familiar should be played like a pawn, sacrificed to protect his king, Using one's servant as a shield to prolong your own life is a matter of course. If I'm going to feel indebted to him, it should only be if I fail to reach the castle. Should I fail to live up to the chance at victory he's given me through his servant's devotion, then and only then. I've already grown accustomed to this, and I do understand. Furthermore, even if Avenger were to die, he'll return to life again. Even if he's killed out here, he'll be returned to the first night again. Nothing to lose, and nothing to regret. Just as before, I, as a magus of the Association, shall conduct myself in a manner befitting my reputation as a first-rate agent. And yet I feel more pain than usual. These feelings of sentimentality, which I felt once before, now seem to grate against my heart as I grit my teeth in discomfort. In irritation towards both him and myself, I find myself indiscriminately destroying everything in my path. The darkness of the night, the multitude of trees, and even the castle now visible beyond the forest. Feels like I try to shoot them down if I relaxed my grasp of myself for even a moment. However, it's not those voiceless objects that I want to destroy the most, but...
そうか。私も。
have left him behind. All of a sudden, I find myself wanting to apologize for all those unknown things. Even if it was the natural choice, even if he told me to do so himself. The way I treated him was worse than any hatred or betrayal. The castle gates stand wide open. Without a moment's pause, I hurry inside. I may have left that monster far behind me, but in all likelihood I still have no more than 5 minutes to spare. I must locate the Ironsburn Master and force their surrender right away. Which is why I need to calm down and gather my wits. My goal isn't to do away with the Master, but to have a few uncertain points clarified. I must ask the Master of the Ironsburns, the family acting as the cornerstone of the Holy Grail War, and said to know more about the heroic spirits than any other about the mystery of these 4 days. I stormed the entrance to the castle foyer. They should have known we were here the moment we engaged that monster in combat. No need for stealth now.
近い。2階正面。
As I run towards the staircase, I put on a spare pair of leather gloves. I'm in the thick of enemy territory now. Wouldn't be strange to find a blade at my neck any moment, and... a strike could come from any direction. An anachronistic, long-handled weapon comes swinging down towards me. A halberd. Dodging the deadly ancient weapon, the style of which was beginning to fall out of favor even among the Knights of the Holy Church, I jump back out of the way.
侵入者。イリアをいじめに来たのな
Hey
ら
Liz.
帰れ。
A voice free of emotion. Wielding a weapon that must weigh in excess of 40 kilos as though it were lighter than a feather. No, the awkwardness in her moves is as if she doesn't feel the weight at all. There's no room for doubt. This must be one of the finely honed, battle-usage synthetic humans of the Ironsburns, a homunculus.
帰らないなら。
Perhaps picking up on my own readiness for battle, the homunculus raises her halberd into the air. There's no time to try and gauge her ability. I have to take her down with my first strike. This is the second time I've faced off against an Ironsburn-made homunculus, and a formidable opponent though she may be, I also know her limits. A flurry of attacks and defensive counters leaves us still facing off against one another. Her strikes with the halberd are like those of a child in a play sword fight. She has nothing to depend upon but brute strength. In addition to that, her raw power is so otherworldly as to be superhuman, transforming her into a force of nature in battle. Though not on the level of the monster out there, one blow from this homunculus would be more than enough to fatally wound me. A direct hit would likely shatter every bone in my body. Even while parrying the gale-level force of her attacks, I managed to land 7 or so punches on her. And though each one contained enough power to have blown her internal organs out through her back, not so much as a flicker of pain shows on the face of the homunculus. I don't know whether that maid uniform of hers is some kind of superb mystic code, or whether she simply doesn't feel pain at all. At any rate, I'll have to break this homunculus's bones to bring her to a standstill. The fire of battle in the homunculus dies down. Her face, as expressionless as it was filled with a strong drive, suddenly drains of its former tension as...
そこまでよ、リズ。私のお客様なんだから、丁重にもてなしなさいと言ったでしょ。
A young girl appears on the top of the staircase. Her hair is white as snow.
こんばんは、見知らぬお客様。私はこの城の主、イリアスフィール・フォン・アインツベルン。このような夜更けにどんなご用件でいらっしゃったのかしら。
The girl ushers me inside with a polite grace that perfectly complements her loveliness. This girl is the Einsburn Master? There's definitely a strong magical aura surrounding her. The amount of magical energy her body holds is simply phenomenal. A being beyond human. A natural-born magic circuit. There's no mistake. This girl, too, is a homunculus, crafted by the hands of the Einsburns.
あら、せっかく出てきてあげたのにご挨拶もなし。魔術協会の魔術師は礼儀がなっていないのね。お話をする気がないのなら早々に城を後にしてくださいな。
She giggles. Even though she knows that I'm a master, there's not a trace of caution in her. It's almost as if she never saw me as a worthy opponent from the start.
失礼しました。私はバゼット。魔術協会から派遣されたマスターです。ここにはマスターとしてやってきました。
それは存じていますわ。森でサーバントと出会ったでしょ。それでもしかしたらやってきたのはあなたかなって。他のマスターたちは間違ってもここにはやってこないから、ようやく来てくれたのかなって喜んでいましたな。
は？
Her smile is so carefree. My first impression of her could have been off the mark. There's no condescension in the girl's manner. She simply doesn't view me as her enemy.
そうよ。私はあなたと戦う気はないわ。他のどのマスターとも戦う気はない。私はもうマスターでも何でもないんだもの。あなた以外のマスターはみんなそれを知ってるから、こんな森にはやってこないの。
She's not a master? What does this mean?
下がりなさいリズ。バゼットは私と話がしたいみたい。森からお化けが入ってこないよう城門を閉めてきて。
いいけど、イリア、本当に大丈夫？
いいの。バゼットと二人で話したいんだから。リズ、最近生意気よ。あんまり私に逆らわないで。
うん。リズ、イリアの言う通りにする。
The homunculus called Liz exits past me without so much as a watchful glance in my direction, as though our fierce battle a few moments ago never took place.
さあ、あなたはこっちよ、バゼット。私と話をしに来たのでしょ。私にわかることなら何だって答えてあげるわ。
The girl descends the stairs and disappears into the far end of the lobby. Still reeling slightly from this completely unexpected turn of events, I take her up on the invitation.
事の顛末は知っているわ。あなたは私の森に入ってきて、お化けに襲われて、自分のサーバントをおとりにしてここまでやってきた。目的はアインツベルンのマスターを倒すことと、それ以外に知りたいことがあったから。違う？そうでもなければこんな忘れられた城に挑もうとは思わないもの。
The girl calmly lowers herself onto a chair, though I declined when offered a seat of my own. Even if she proclaims disinterest in fighting me, this place is still enemy territory. I can't know for certain that she won't make this whole room disappear with a snap of her fingers.
用心深いのね、バゼット。教会の教えなのか、それともそういう性格なのか。ねえ、あなたって敵地じゃお茶も飲まないタイプ？
場合によりますが、ここでは飲みません。あなたの言う通り、私は知りたいことがあってきた。世間話をしに来たわけではありませんから。
そう、残念ね。それじゃお茶の用意は取りやめるわ。要件だけ済ませる方があなたには喜ばれそうだし。
Is this girl really the Einsburn master? I'm beginning to doubt her anew. No, if what she said about no longer being a master is true, then she's really not a master at all.
イリアス・フィール、あなたはマスターではないと言いましたが、森にいた巨人はあなたのサーバントではないのですか？
あのお化けは私のサーバントよ。けどアインツベルンのサーバントじゃないわ。ちょっとした手違いで狂っちゃったの。今じゃ聖杯戦争とは関係のない私を守るだけのお化けになっちゃった。街に現れている怪物とは違うけど、同じようなものと思えばいいわ。
So they're there to protect something?
彼は聖杯戦争には何の関わりもない。この森にやってくるマスターを殺すだけの怪物。サーバントでありながらサーバントの役からあ
So
ぶれ
there's a
てしまっ
different
た
Berserker?
形のない亡霊なの。
Huh.
役からあぶれた。
該当する役回りがなかったからちゃんとした出番を与えられなかったの。彼がアインツベルンのサーバントならあんなことにはならなかったでしょうけど。
あの怪物はアインツベルンのサーバントではないと。ではアインツベルンのサーバントはどこにいるのです？
いないわ。だって私他のマスターにサーバントを取られちゃったんだもの。もうマスターじゃないってそういうこと。聖杯戦争が始まってから4日目の夜にあっけなくサーバントが殺されてアインツベルンのマスターは敗北したの。あなたのサーバントだってアインツベルンは脱落したって一番初めに知ってたはずよ。
The Einsburn servant was Avenger. My mind freezes. Avenger knew that the Einsburn master had been defeated. Not that it comes as a surprise. The number of things he's keeping secret from me could fill volumes. I don't trust that suspicious guy at all, so this news is hardly enough to shock me. What I find much more strange is...
どうしたの？何か気になることでもあったのかしら。
She giggles. This girl, she knows everything.
イリアス・フィール、その他のマスターに取られたというあなたのサーバント。
あら、知らなかったの？彼の名はアベンジャー。アンリマユの名を冠する最も古い悪神よ。
With a grating sound, my consciousness distorts. My fist unconsciously closes around the earring in my pocket. After laboring to calm my suddenly ragged breathing, I say,
それはおかしい。アベンジャーなどというクラスは聞いたことがない。第一、アンリマユの名を冠する英霊など存在するはずがない。
I finally put into words the question that's haunted me ever since this all began.
もちろんアンリマユなんてものは実在しない。アベンジャーとして召喚されたそれはアンリマユという故障を語るただの人間だったわ。神話に現れる悪神とは何の関係もない魔術も神秘も知らない一般人。理由もなく偶像に選ばれてその一生を魔として扱われたただの生贄だったのよ。
A fairy tale from a far-off distant world. Once there existed a people who, distraught by all the strife that had come to be in the world, created for themselves a new world isolated deep in the mountains. But though they had gathered together in the hopes of living as embodiment of man's innate goodness, they are unable to divorce themselves from the evil nature also inherent in man. Doubt and deception, hatred and resentment. No matter how gloriously they sang the praises of human good, evil was still born among them. So they decided that someone had to shoulder the blame for the ugliness of the world. This evil was not something that could have been born from within any of them. That they themselves had this evil in their nature couldn't be true. The evil of mankind stems from the venom of something demonic which comes to infect us. We must all lead lives of purity and righteousness. Therefore, they required a root of all evil. They required an effigy to bear the weight of all sin. Someone of whom it could be said, "It is only you who is evil." And so a scapegoat was created to become all the evil in the world. A lone sacrifice.
英霊の中には時々そういうのが混じっているの。 本人は普通に生きたつもりでも、死後周りがその生き様を神格化して立てまつり、英雄を作り上げるのね。死者は何も語らないから、都合のいい役を押し付けても文句を言わない。疑いを知らない善良な人々が信じるには格好の崇拝対象よね。ただ彼の場合はそれが度を過ぎていた。人々の崇拝が怒りや憎悪だったからかしら。彼は本物の悪魔として扱われ、人々はあらゆる非難を彼に押し付けた。貧困、病、災害、果ては自分が死んでしまうことへの恐れさえ、彼がいるから起こるのだとなじられ、はけ口にされた。けどそれで人々は救われたの。そういう悪魔がいるなら仕方がないって。嫌なことは全部そいつのせいで、自分たちのせいじゃないんだからって。だから彼は死後に英霊として扱われた。その手は何もしなかったし、誰に敬われることもなかったけど、彼は多くの人々を救ったから。
While he still lived, he became a god. While he still lived, he had his human nature taken away. The name he was given at birth was stripped from him, and he was spoken of as a great evil.
だから名前はないんだ。
He spoke of it as though it were a trifling matter.
思い出せと言われても、もうそんな記録は。
Anywhere in this world anymore, he declared without a trace of resentment. And in response, your next name was one that you were fondly called as a hero. Even if it is a title, it is a name that gained acclaim from people. Of course you would like it. How could I have ever said such a thing?
それがアベンジャーアンリ・マユという悪性に見立てられた人間ということですか。
そうよ。けど能力の方は点でダメ。彼はアンリマユとして扱われることにはなったけど、信仰だけで特別な力がつくわけじゃない。彼は生前も英霊として扱われることになった死後もただの人間だった。まあ名前はベスターから除外されたことで秩序からは自由になったけど、それでも英霊と呼ばれるには点で力不足。サーバントとしては何の役にも立たないゴミだったわ。
ゴミ？
何？いきなりやる気になっちゃって。私を殺しても利益はないのに。あなた見かけによらず危ない人？
Now that she says that, I realize I'm seething with anger. What the girl said wasn't that far off from the mark. It's true that as a heroic spirit he's incredibly weak, and at first I did think he was useless. But that was only due to my lack of understanding at the time, added to the fact that it's hard to grasp his good points.
いいえ、私の時は本当に役立たずだったのよ、バゼット。彼が人々の望んだ英霊になるのはもっと後のこと。彼にかけられた願いが成就するまでは無力なまま、宝具の一つも使えない。
No noble phantasm. No. Does she mean that he couldn't use his noble phantasm while he was the Einsburn servant? This doesn't add up. The Einsburn girl whose servant was taken away. If he was taken, that would make me the one who took him. About this there can be no mistake. I don't have the first idea how I was able to usurp the contract from her, but it seems this girl's contract with Avenger was switched with mine. So then, what does the death on the fourth day signify? Being taken away is not the same as dying. This girl is talking about multiple conclusions at once.
いなくなった私のサーバントの話なんていいでしょ。それよりあなたのサーバントの話が聞きたいわ、バゼット。魔術協会に選ばれたあなたですもの。さぞ巧妙な英霊を召喚したんでしょ。
いえ、私のサーバント。
Avenger, I was going to say, but hesitated before my mouth could shape the words. It's partly because I'm the one that she said took him from her, but on top of that, I can't shake the feeling that she's lying to me about something.
私のサーバントは？
別に マスターで亡くなったあなたに話すことでもない。それに
He's already long dead. Right when I arrived at this castle, all response from Avengers ceased. He's already returned to the first night, and there he waits for me to awaken, just like always.
そうだ、それが彼の能力だ。
To be reborn even from death. No, to start over from the first day when we were still alive. Which means that the girl before my eyes must already know all about his ability to rewind.
イリアス・フィール、アベンジャーは宝具を使えなかったと言いましたね。それはどちらの話ですか？アベスターか、それとも。
何の話だか分かりませんけど、そのどちらも使えなかったでしょうね。言ったでしょ、アベンジャーは役に立たない道具だったって。
So this must mean that the Einsburn Master knows nothing at all about Avengers' noble phantasm. Never mind Avesta, his ability to resurrect from the dead far surpasses even other noble phantasms. There's just no way anyone who's experienced that power firsthand could so summarily dismiss him as useless.
そうですね。アベンジャーの話だとしても仕方がない。本題に入りましょう、イリアス・フィール。あなたはこの聖杯戦争をどう感じていますか？
さあ、私はとっくに仲間外れですもの。もう聖杯戦争に興味はないわ。すでに終わったことですし、ゆっくり終わりを眺めているだけ。
町に現れている使い魔たちも知らないと？
知らないわ。言ったでしょ、私は仲間外れなの。でもそうね、あの怪物たちが町にあふれるのは今夜までよ。始まってから今日までの4日間しか。
It came up again. Another link to the period of 4 days. My search for clues relating to that was what originally brought me here tonight.
イリアス・フィール、これは私のサーバントの能力なのですよ。
I tell her with certain conviction of all that has happened so far. Rebirth from death. The endlessly restarting Holy Grail War. No, that's not it. About my servant and I who, no matter how many times you repeat them, cannot move beyond these 4 days.
聖杯戦争を繰り返している。そうなんだ。あなたにはそう感じる。いいえ、あなたたちだけとどまっているのね。
We're the only ones who are confined. She's right in saying that. Viewed from the perspective of the girl who cannot rewind, the 4th day will always be followed by a 5th. But the two of us must return to the first day. We're standing in the middle of the vast river called Time, never moving downstream from where we stand, and going back upstream again and again.
あなたはそれを解決しに来たのね。聖杯戦争を止めて4日目を超えたいと。
いや、私はただ。
I haven't the slightest desire to stop the Holy Grail War. I only want to know for certain why this boundary of 4 days, 4 repeating days confines us as it does.
違うの？なら何がしたいの？あなたは。今のままじゃ永遠に。
No, all I want is to win this abnormal Holy Grail War and fulfill the duty I was sent here for. Didn't you just say you don't want it to end?
そう。サーバントとの契約を切るのなら手を貸すこともできるけど、そっちの問題は管轄外よ。言ったでしょ、私は仲間外れだって。私、この城から出る気はないの。あなたの聖杯戦争がどうしてそんなことになったのか、それを調べられるのはあなただけよ、バゼット。
The girl rises from her seat. Ilias Veal moves towards the lobby, as though she's lost all interest in me.
おやすみなさい、バゼット。あなたの話が本当なら今夜でまた戻るんでしょ。それまで城にいるといいわ。森に出たらお化けに殺されてしまうもの。今夜は星が綺麗よ。せっかく一人になったんだからよく考えてみることね。あなたは何がしたかったのか、本当にその違和感を解決してしまっていいのかを。
I leave the winter castle behind me. I refuse the girl's offer. Even if in the forest I do encounter that monster, my defeat at its hands, I still can't simply stay here passing the time in tranquility all by myself. As she said, the sky is remarkably clear. While gazing up at the countless number of stars overhead, I think of him, the one who doubtlessly reply with something sarcastic like, "How can they be countless? You can see him, you can count him too, if he were here."
どうして4日で終わるのかではなく、どうしてそんなことになったのかを知るべきだ。
The rewinding ability isn't Avenger's noble phantasm. I do remember him having said so himself, that this was a special bonus from having made a contract with me. What did he mean by a special bonus? If this isn't the noble phantasm, I ask myself, then just what kind of miracle could make this possible? Come on, Bazett. Miracle. A wish-granting magic vessel. There you go. I deny the answer that rises to the surface of my mind. Oh.
アベンジャーは信用できない。私は私のできることをするだけだ。
That's it. Next time I go out into town during the day while he sleeps. Avenger is incapable of action during daylight hours, but I myself have no such restrictions. Although I've avoided going out during the day thus far, it's not as though I'm a vampire or anything of the sort.
冬木の魔術師、遠坂とマト、それに前回生き残ったエミやキリツ。
If I'm going to take action, why not start from there? Keeping it quiet from my servant, I will go out into the town. Once again, I feel an unnecessary pain in my chest. It would have been so much better if I truly couldn't trust him. Because I want to believe in him. I'm hiding things from him and seeking out the truth. Okay, looks like we found ourselves a new section. So hey, maybe getting killed at the church wasn't the worst thing in the world to happen. Let's see, something in Ryder's room, Saber in the living room. Oh, something at school. I get the harbor. Alright, so I'm gonna end things off here. A little short today, but you know, I feel like we got a good amount of, good chunk of something today, so I'll take it. Alright, I will see you all in the next episode then. Alright, bye!